Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into an idea from the book A New Science of Heaven that might seriously change the way you see, well, everything. We're going to talk about a state of matter that makes up nearly the entire visible universe. And here's the kicker. Some scientists are starting to think it might actually be alive.
Okay, so let's start with something simple, something you definitely learned back in school. Think about it for a second. What are the fundamental states that all physical stuff exists in?
You got it, right? Solid, liquid, and gas. For more than a century, that was the whole story. Ice turns to water, water turns to steam. Simple. But what if I told you there's a fourth state of matter? One we almost never talk about, but one that completely dwarfs the other three on a cosmic scale.
So, this mysterious fourth state, it's called plasma. Now, it was actually first spotted in a lab way back in 1879, but it took until 1928 for it to get its name. A physicist named Irving Langmuir called it plasma because its energetic, kind of lifelike behavior reminded him of blood plasma.
So what exactly is it? Well, think of it this way. Solids, liquids, and gases are all made of nice, stable, complete atoms. Plasma is what you get when you heat a gas so much that its atoms literally break apart. You're left with this chaotic, super-energized soup of charged particles. You've got positive ions and free-roaming negative electrons.
And believe it or not, you've seen plasma way more than you probably realize. It's not just some strange substance cooked up in a lab. The sun? That's a giant ball of plasma. Every single star in the night sky, also plasma. That brilliant flash of lightning in a storm, you guessed it, pure plasma. Even the glow from a neon sign or the screen of an old plasma TV is created by trapping this fourth state of matter.
But here is where you really need to buckle up, because this is where our whole perspective has to flip upside down. All those examples here on Earth are just tiny, tiny little tastes of what's really out there. More than 99%. Let that number sink in for a second. That is the estimated amount of the visible universe that's made of plasma. And some scientists even think that number is closer to 99.99%. It's staggering.
So what does that really mean? It means the solid ground under your feet, the oceans, the very air you're breathing right now, all of it is less than 1% of what's out there. Our familiar world isn't the standard. We are the incredibly rare exception in what is, for all intents and purposes, a plasma universe.
And this quote from astrophysicist Vinod Krishnan just drives the point home perfectly. Plasma isn't just the most common stuff out there, it's the first stuff. It's the primordial building block that everything else, every gas, every liquid, every solid, eventually cooled down from. Okay, so if plasma is the source of everything, it also behaves in some really strange ways that we're only just starting to figure out. Back in the 1950s, scientists stumbled onto something in the lab that was, well, just plain bizarre. So there was this physicist, Winston Bostick, and he was experimenting with these little self-contained bursts of plasma he called plasmoids. He was shooting them at each other inside a vacuum, probably just expecting them to smash together and fizzle out. But that is not what happened. Not at all. Instead of just colliding, the plasmoids interacted. They worked together. They organized themselves into these stable, complex structures that looked exactly like tiny, miniature spiral galaxies. It was incredible. Bostick himself was just blown away. He wrote that it was like he was dealing with bodies which have strong powers of self-organization and preservation. He knew he wasn't just watching simple physics anymore. He was seeing something that acted like it wanted to live. And you know what? This weird, lifelike behavior wasn't just a one-off thing. It led other scientists, like the famous plasma physicist V.N. Sidovich, to start asking a really deep and fascinating question. So here's where it gets really wild. It turns out these complex plasmas check off a whole lot of boxes we use to define what life even is. First, they self-organize into these stable, helix-like structures, kind of like DNA, right? Then, they actually compete for energy from the plasma currents around them. They eat. And they can even duplicate themselves, which is, a huge part of life. And maybe the most amazing part? They can evolve. And get this, they could potentially do it way, way faster than organic life. The conclusion from plasma physicists like Titovich is nothing short of startling. As he and his colleagues put it in the New Journal of Physics, these plasma structures are basically candidates for being a form of inorganic living matter. They're arguing that the universe could literally be teeming with this stuff.
So, okay, What does this all mean for us, for our place in this massive universe? If we even begin to accept this as a possibility, the implications are just enormous.
I mean, let's just connect the dots for a second. If pretty much all the matter in the universe is plasma, and if that plasma can be alive, then it stands to reason that the most common, dominant form of life in the cosmos probably isn't like us at all. It suggests that our carbon-based life on planets like Earth might be beautiful, for sure, but maybe just a tiny, incredibly rare footnote in a cosmos that is itself alive.
And that leaves us with one final, absolutely mind-bending thought. Since every single star in the sky is a giant, self-organizing ball of plasma, could it be that the night sky is full of conscious entities, just hiding there in plain sight? It's definitely something to think about next time you look up at the stars.